Have you ever believed that emotional intelligence is just about being polite, diplomatic, or socially likable? Most people do. We've been taught that emotional intelligence, also called EQ, is a soft skill. A way to get along with others. A way to avoid conflict. A way to stay composed in social settings. But here's the truth few people dare to tell you. Emotional intelligence isn't just about keeping the peace. It's a tool for power. Real power. Personal power. The ability to control your thoughts, master your emotions, and direct your life with unwavering clarity. And without emotional intelligence, personal power remains impossible. Welcome to True Stoic Mindset. Here, we explore timeless Stoic philosophy and practical tools to help you grow stronger, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, every single day. In today's video, you'll discover how emotional intelligence, when practiced deeply, becomes the foundation for personal power. This isn't about becoming nicer or more agreeable. It's about becoming unshakable. You'll learn why most people misunderstand emotional intelligence, how emotional mastery leads to personal power, and 5 Stoic-inspired strategies to develop both. By the end of this video, you won't just have more knowledge. You'll have a roadmap to emotional freedom, and inner strength that no one can take from you. This isn't just another self-help video. This is the beginning of a new way of living, with clarity, calm, and quiet dominance over yourself. So stay with me. What you're about to discover may completely transform your view of emotions, and your view of power. Emotional intelligence, its true essence and common misunderstandings. Let's begin by unraveling the true essence of emotional intelligence. In recent decades, emotional intelligence has become a popular concept, praised in books, seminars, workplaces, and personal development circles. But despite its popularity, it is also widely misunderstood. Daniel Goleman, the psychologist who popularized the term, defined emotional intelligence through 5 core components. Self-awareness. The ability to recognize your own emotions as they arise. This is the foundation. Without self-awareness, you're blind to your inner world. Self-regulation. The capacity to manage your emotional reactions, to pause instead of lashing out, to stay calm under pressure. Motivation. The inner drive to pursue goals with passion and persistence, even in the face of setbacks. Empathy. The ability to understand and feel the emotions of others, a key to compassion, connection, and influence. Social skills. The ability to navigate social situations, build healthy relationships, and communicate effectively. These 5 pillars have shaped how millions approach personal development today. But here's the hidden problem. Most people stop at the surface. They treat emotional intelligence like a set of social tactics. Smile more. Listen better. Stay calm on the outside, even if you're boiling inside. This creates what I call surface-level emotional intelligence. It looks impressive from the outside, but inside, it often hides frustration, anxiety, or suppressed resentment. Why does this happen? Because many people focus only on managing emotions externally, not transforming their relationship with emotions internally. They learn to act composed, but inside they still suffer. Here's the hard truth. Emotional intelligence isn't about manipulating how others see you. It's about mastering yourself. Without true self-mastery, emotional intelligence becomes shallow, just another tool for social approval or short-term success. Stoicism makes this distinction clear. The Stoics didn't aim to merely appear calm. They aimed to be calm, to remove the root of emotional disturbance, not just hide it. Epictetus said, "It's not events themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them." True emotional intelligence doesn't end with social harmony. It goes deeper, into your judgments, your attachments, and your inner dialogue. It's not just about adjusting how you behave outwardly. It's about reshaping how you experience emotions at their core. And this is where most people fall short. They want emotional control without self-examination. They want calmness without discipline. They want freedom without facing themselves. But real emotional intelligence demands more. It requires courage, the courage to see yourself honestly. It asks you to step beyond shallow techniques and begin the inner work of transformation. Because only then does emotional intelligence unlock its real gift: the power to govern yourself, regardless of external circumstances. And this is where your personal power begins. The deep connection between emotional intelligence and personal power. Let's now explore the essential link between emotional intelligence and personal power. Many people mistakenly believe that power comes from external sources: wealth, status, physical dominance, control over others. But Stoicism, and every true philosophy of inner mastery, teaches a radically different truth. Real power begins within. It begins with the ability to govern yourself. Because if you cannot rule your own mind, you will always be a slave, no matter how much external success you achieve. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's greatest rulers, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the very heart of personal power. Master your emotions. Master your impulses. Master your reactions. Then, no matter what happens around you, you remain unshaken. But here's the deeper truth most people miss. Emotional intelligence isn't just a soft skill for social settings. It's the pathway to personal power. Why? Because emotions are the primary forces that control human behavior. Think about it. How many people sabotage their careers because of anger? How many relationships are destroyed by jealousy or resentment? How much potential is wasted because of fear or self-doubt? If you can't manage your emotions, you can't manage your actions. If you can't manage your actions, you can't shape your destiny. It's that simple. Emotional intelligence is not optional, it's essential. It's the bridge between knowing what's right and doing what's right. Here's how it works. Self-awareness shows you where your emotions arise. Self-regulation gives you the space to respond wisely. Motivation channels your emotional energy toward purposeful goals. Empathy allows you to understand others without losing yourself. Social skills enable you to build alliances and navigate challenges calmly. Together, these qualities give you something rare: the ability to move through life with both strength and serenity. This is what I call internal invincibility. A person who controls their emotions cannot be easily manipulated, provoked, or shaken. They become the calm eye within every storm, the one others naturally look to for guidance and stability. They lead not by force, but by presence. And here's the paradox. The less you're controlled by your emotions, the more power you naturally exert, over yourself, over situations, and even over others. Because people instinctively follow those who remain steady under pressure. Stoicism has always known this. Epictetus taught, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." And your emotions, at least the initial surge of them, often lie beyond your control. But your response? That's always yours to command. This is why emotional intelligence, practiced deeply, becomes the foundation of personal power. It's not about suppressing emotions. It's about transcending them. You no longer fear emotions because you no longer obey them. You see them clearly, master them calmly, and then act deliberately. This is the source of true personal power. The unshakable ability to govern yourself. Once you have this, no external power can rival what lies within you. The layers of emotional intelligence, a map to inner power. Emotional intelligence is often discussed as a single skill set. But the truth is, it exists in layers. Layers that range from shallow, surface-level tactics to profound, transformative self-mastery. If you truly want personal power, not just social ease, you must understand these layers. Let's explore them together. Layer 1. Surface emotional intelligence, the social mask. This is where most people begin. At this level, emotional intelligence is treated like a social tool, something to appear more composed, polite, or agreeable. People in this layer often force a smile during conflict, Use polite words to mask irritation. Apply empathy mechanically to gain social approval. Yes, they may appear emotionally intelligent on the outside, but inside, they often feel suppressed frustration, resentment, emotional fatigue. Why? Because they are using emotional intelligence as a mask, not as a means of personal growth. They're still ruled by their emotions internally. They've just learned how to cover it up better. This layer offers temporary relief, but no lasting freedom. Layer 2, Internal Emotional Intelligence, the gateway to self-mastery. This is where true growth begins. Here, emotional intelligence shifts from external performance to internal transformation. Instead of asking, "How can I look calm?" you begin asking, "How can I become calm?" In this layer you observe your emotions without judgment. Understand the root causes behind your triggers. Begin detaching from emotional stories and narratives. You're no longer obsessed with appearing composed for others. Your focus turns inward, to mastering your own mind. You realize your anger is not about others, it's about your attachment to control. Your anxiety is not about the world, it's about your resistance to uncertainty. Your sadness is not about loss, it's about clinging to what was never truly yours. This layer demands courage. It requires facing uncomfortable truths about yourself. But it also brings something priceless: inner peace. Because the more you understand your emotions, the less power they have over you. You begin to navigate life with quiet confidence, rooted not in appearance, but in authentic self-mastery. Layer 3, Philosophical Emotional Intelligence, the Stoic Mindset. This is the highest layer. Rarely reached, but life-changing for those who arrive here. At this level, emotional intelligence becomes fully integrated with your core philosophy of life. You no longer view emotions as enemies or obstacles. You see them as natural, neutral phenomena, passing clouds in the vast sky of your awareness. This is where Stoicism fully enters. Stoic masters like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus didn't merely manage emotions. They transcended them. They practiced what I call philosophical emotional intelligence, the deep understanding that nothing external can truly harm you. Emotions are simply signals, not commands. Your only task is to govern your choices, regardless of emotional storms. In this state, you don't fear anger, you understand it. You don't resist grief, you let it pass through you without clinging. You don't crave constant happiness, you focus instead on virtue and wisdom. This isn't emotional suppression. It's emotional liberation. You become fully present with your emotions, without attachment or aversion. And in doing so, you unlock the highest form of personal power. The ability to move through life untouched by external chaos, centered, clear, and deeply free. Where are you now? Take a moment to reflect. Are you still operating at the surface, masking emotions to survive social situations? Have you begun the internal work, facing emotions honestly and transforming them from within? Or are you reaching the philosophical layer, where you no longer fear emotions at all, but simply witness them as part of life's flow? Wherever you are, know this. Emotional intelligence is not a fixed trait. It's a path, a practice, a discipline. And the deeper you go, the more powerful, peaceful, and unshakable you become. 5 Stoic Strategies to Master Emotional Intelligence and Personal Power. Now, let's move from theory to practice. Understanding emotional intelligence is important, but applying it is where real transformation begins. Here are 5 powerful Stoic-inspired strategies that will help you master emotional intelligence at the deepest level and unlock unshakable personal power. Strategy 1. Strategic Pausing, the art of deliberate delay. In the heat of the moment, emotions flare. Someone insults you. You receive bad news. You feel anxiety creeping in. The automatic response? React, quickly, instinctively, often impulsively. But this is precisely where most people surrender their power. They become slaves to their immediate emotional impulses, letting anger, fear, or frustration dictate their words and actions. Stoicism teaches something radically different. Pause. Wait. Breathe. This practice is known as strategic pausing, the conscious decision to create space between emotion and action. Marcus Aurelius described it as standing still within yourself, remaining unmoved until clarity returns. Here's why this practice is so effective. When you pause, even for just a few seconds, you activate your higher brain functions. Rational thinking, long-term perspective, moral reasoning. In contrast, reacting immediately triggers your survival instincts, fight, flight, or freeze, leading to regretful words or irrational behavior. How to practice strategic pausing. Feel the emotion rising. Notice the physical sensations, tightness in your chest, heat in your face, shallow breathing. Immediately shift attention to your breath. Take 3 deep, slow breaths. Focus fully on the inhalation and exhalation. Ask yourself the Stoic question: is this worth sacrificing my inner peace? This question alone disrupts the emotional spiral. Delay your response. If possible, physically remove yourself from the situation, even for a brief moment. If not, remain silent until you regain clarity. Choose your next action deliberately. Act only when your mind is calm, your judgment is clear, and your intention is aligned with your values. This practice might seem simple, but its effects are profound. With consistent application, you'll notice fewer emotional outbursts, greater self-respect, a growing sense of calm, even in challenging situations. You'll no longer feel pulled by every emotion. Instead, you'll become the one who decides, patiently, wisely, powerfully. As Epictetus said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Sometimes, strategic pausing may confuse others. They may see your silence as weakness or hesitation. Let them. Because while others chase temporary victories, you're cultivating something far greater. Mastery over yourself. This is the first pillar of personal power. Strategy 2. Cognitive reframing. Rewriting emotional narratives. Every emotion we experience is tied to a story we tell ourselves. Think about it. You feel anger because you believe someone has violated your sense of justice. You feel anxiety because you believe something terrible might happen. You feel sadness because you believe something valuable has been lost forever. In other words, emotions aren't just random, they're directly linked to our interpretations. The Stoics understood this long ago. Epictetus taught, men are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them. This is the essence of cognitive reframing, the art of consciously changing the story you attach to events. It's not about lying to yourself. It's about seeing the situation through a wiser, more empowering lens. How to practice cognitive reframing. Identify the triggering story. When you feel strong emotions, pause and ask yourself, what am I telling myself about this? What story am I believing right now? Be honest. You might discover stories like, they're disrespecting me. I'm going to fail. This always happens to me. Question the validity of that story. Gently challenge your assumptions by asking, is this absolutely true? Am I missing another perspective? How would a wise person see this? Often, you'll realize your story is exaggerated, distorted, or incomplete. Reframe the narrative. Now consciously shift your perspective toward a Stoic interpretation. This isn't personal, it's just human behavior. This challenge is a test of my character. Every setback is an opportunity to grow stronger. You're not denying reality, you're choosing a more empowering interpretation. Examples of Stoic reframing. Instead of thinking, they're trying to insult me, reframe it as, they're expressing their own pain, not mine. Instead of thinking, I can't handle this, reframe it as, this is a chance to practice resilience. Instead of thinking, this is unfair, reframe it as, life was never promised to be fair. My task is to respond with wisdom. With consistent practice, this strategy rewires your emotional responses. You begin to realize that no event has inherent meaning. You are always the author of your emotional experience. This insight grants you immense power. The power to shift from victimhood to mastery, instantly, at any moment. It also frees you from the exhausting habit of blaming others or external circumstances for your feelings. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been." This doesn't mean you suppress legitimate emotions. It means you liberate yourself from unnecessary suffering, by consciously choosing the most empowering story. Try this today. The next time you feel a negative emotion, pause and ask, "What story am I believing right now?" Then challenge it. Reframe it. Rewrite it. You'll be surprised how quickly your emotions lose their grip. And you'll experience a deep, quiet sense of freedom, the kind that no one can take away from you. Strategy 3. Voluntary discomfort training, building resilience through challenge. Most people spend their entire lives running from discomfort. They avoid pain, seek constant pleasure, and do everything possible to maintain comfort. But here's the paradox. The more you avoid discomfort, the weaker you become. The Stoics understood this timeless truth. Comfort makes you soft. Discomfort makes you strong. This is why they deliberately practiced voluntary discomfort, what I call voluntary discomfort training. The purpose of voluntary discomfort. This practice isn't about self-punishment or asceticism. It's about training your mind and body to endure challenges with calmness and grace. Because life will inevitably bring discomfort. Financial struggles, physical illness, emotional losses, unforeseen crises. If you only experience comfort, you'll be completely unprepared when hardship strikes. But if you regularly expose yourself to discomfort voluntarily, you'll build resilience, emotional toughness, deep inner stability. How to practice voluntary discomfort training. Choose mild discomforts intentionally. Start with small, manageable challenges. Take cold showers. Skip a meal, if medically safe. Sleep on a hard surface occasionally. Walk instead of driving short distances. Engage in mental discomfort. Practice negative visualization regularly. Visualize losing something you cherish. Imagine a difficult scenario calmly. Ask yourself, if this happened, could I endure it? This isn't pessimism, it's preparation. Maintain a calm, stoic attitude throughout. The goal isn't to grit your teeth and suffer through it. It's to remain calm, composed, and accepting of the discomfort. Remind yourself, this is temporary. I'm training my mind to become stronger than my circumstances. Reflect afterward. Ask yourself, what did I learn from this discomfort? How did my mind and body respond? How can I carry this resilience into other areas of life? Why this works. When you practice voluntary discomfort regularly, you build two priceless traits. Emotional immunity. Things that once triggered fear, anxiety, or frustration now feel manageable, because you've faced worse voluntarily. Gratitude for simple pleasures. When you willingly go without comfort, you begin to appreciate ordinary moments, warm showers, satisfying meals, soft beds. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, practiced this rigorously. Set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself, is this the condition that I feared? He deliberately lived like a pauper, even as a wealthy man, to test himself against adversity. Real-world example. Let's say you're afraid of rejection or embarrassment. Instead of avoiding it, you can train yourself by starting small conversations with strangers, volunteering for tasks that stretch your limits, deliberately seeking feedback, knowing it might sting. Every time you do this voluntarily, you rewire your brain. I can handle this. Discomfort is not fatal. Over time, your tolerance grows. What once terrified you becomes ordinary. The ultimate benefit. Voluntary discomfort transforms your identity. You stop seeing yourself as fragile or dependent on external comfort. Instead, you begin to see yourself as strong, adaptable, unbreakable. This doesn't mean you seek suffering for its own sake. It means you stop fearing it, and therefore, you stop fearing life itself. Because a person who no longer fears discomfort becomes calm in crisis, humble in prosperity, ready for anything. That's personal power in its purest form. Strategy 4. Emotional minimalism, simplifying your inner world. We live in an age of emotional excess. Everywhere you turn, there are messages urging you to feel more, express everything, follow your heart. And while emotional awareness has its place, this cultural obsession with more emotion often leads to overthinking, emotional overwhelm, constant inner noise. The Stoics saw this clearly, even thousands of years ago. They taught that peace doesn't come from indulging every feeling. It comes from simplifying your inner world. This is the core of emotional minimalism, the deliberate practice of reducing unnecessary emotional clutter. Why emotional minimalism matters. Your mind has limited energy and attention. Every emotional reaction, whether joy, anger, fear, or excitement, consumes mental resources. If you allow yourself to be swept away by every mood, every trigger, every minor offense, you scatter your energy. But when you practice emotional minimalism, you reclaim your focus. You stop reacting to every comment on social media, worrying about every negative opinion, obsessing over every future what if. Instead, you begin to live with calm detachment, focus clarity, quiet strength. This doesn't mean you become cold or indifferent. It means you become selective about where you invest your emotional energy. How to practice emotional minimalism. Identify emotional noise. Throughout your day, ask yourself, which emotions today truly matter? Which ones are just noise, distractions with no meaningful purpose? You'll realize much of your emotional life is unnecessary, triggered by trivial events, fleeting thoughts, or outside influences. Apply the principle of essentialism. Marcus Aurelius practiced this rigorously. He constantly asked, "Is this essential?" You can apply this to emotions as well. Is this anger essential? Is this worry necessary? Does this emotional reaction serve any meaningful purpose? If not, let it go. Focus on emotional essentials. Instead of trying to manage every emotion, focus only on what's essential. Courage, patience, gratitude, compassion, wisdom. These are the core emotions that lead to a meaningful life. All others, envy, pride, resentment, fear, are distractions from your higher purpose. Create emotional space daily. Reserve time for silence and solitude, away from emotional stimulation. No screens. No noise. No external input. During this time, simply observe your thoughts without attachment. The more you practice emotional stillness, the more natural it becomes. The results of emotional minimalism. As you master this practice, you'll notice less emotional volatility, quieter mental noise, greater inner peace. You'll feel lighter, not because life has changed, but because you've stopped carrying unnecessary emotional baggage. Your relationships improve, not because others change, but because you no longer get entangled in every emotional drama. You gain emotional clarity, the ability to see situations objectively, without the fog of overreaction. Real-world example. Imagine someone criticizes you unfairly. Without emotional minimalism, you dwell on it for hours, or days. You replay the conversation in your mind. You plan revenge or seek validation elsewhere. With emotional minimalism, you acknowledge the criticism, but only briefly. You ask, "Is this essential?" You either learn from it, or you let it go. Then you move forward, calm, focused, undistracted. This is freedom. The ultimate benefit. Emotional minimalism doesn't make you feel less. It makes you feel more of what truly matters. It shifts your focus from reacting to everything, to mastering yourself. You stop chasing emotional highs or avoiding emotional lows. Instead, you cultivate steady calm, focused purpose, deep-rooted contentment. And in this quiet simplicity, you'll find what most people spend their entire lives searching for: peace of mind and unshakable personal power. Strategy 5. Reflective journaling, mastering yourself through daily self-examination. Few practices are as simple, yet as profoundly transformative, as reflective journaling. In the modern world, journaling is often seen as a hobby, a form of self-expression, or a therapeutic tool. But for the Stoics, journaling wasn't just a way to vent or record memories. It was a discipline, a tool for rigorous self-examination, a daily ritual of truth-telling to oneself. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man of his time, wrote in his Meditations not to impress others, but to remind himself of who he wanted to be. Epictetus and Seneca also emphasized the importance of nightly reflection, because they understood this core truth. Without reflection, you remain a prisoner of your unconscious habits. Why reflective journaling works? Most people drift through life on emotional autopilot. They react, repeat, and regret, without ever pausing to ask why. Reflective journaling interrupts this cycle. It allows you to observe your emotional patterns objectively, identify recurring triggers and self-sabotaging beliefs, track your progress toward emotional mastery. It transforms your inner world from a chaotic storm into a clear, navigable landscape. How to practice reflective journaling, Stoic style. Set aside time daily, preferably at night. This is your sacred appointment with yourself. Begin with emotional honesty. Write down your strongest emotions from the day, both positive and negative. What stirred anger, fear, or sadness? What sparked gratitude, peace, or joy? Ask probing questions. For each emotion, explore. What triggered this feeling? Was it within my control? Did I respond with wisdom, or with impulse? What did this emotion teach me about myself? Be brutally honest, but also compassionate. Extract lessons and set intentions. End each entry by asking, what can I do better tomorrow? How can I practice greater self-restraint, clarity, or resilience? Set a clear, simple intention for the next day, aligned with your Stoic values. Sample reflective journal prompts, Stoic inspired. Where did I lose my temper today? Why? What unnecessary worries occupied my mind? What external event disturbed my peace, and how could I have responded differently? Did I act according to my values, or was I swayed by others? What am I truly grateful for today? The hidden power of journaling. At first, this practice might feel tedious or repetitive. But over time, something subtle, but extraordinary, happens. Your emotional patterns become crystal clear. You spot your hidden weaknesses, and your hidden strengths. You develop deep self-knowledge, rooted not in theory, but in direct experience. You begin to anticipate emotional triggers, and respond with increasing wisdom and calmness. You also cultivate emotional humility, the quiet recognition that you are always a work in progress. Why most people avoid this practice? Let's be honest, journaling can feel uncomfortable. It forces you to face yourself without excuses or distractions. It strips away illusions, and reveals the raw truth of your inner life. But that's exactly why it works. As Epictetus taught, if you wish to improve, be content to appear clueless or silly in external matters, but be diligent in your private discipline. Reflective journaling is this private discipline. It's where your real transformation happens, not on social media, not in public, but alone, in quiet reflection. The ultimate benefit. Through consistent journaling, you develop profound emotional clarity, steady inner calm, unshakable self-awareness. You stop being a passive reactor to life, and become an active creator of your character. In time, this practice doesn't just help you manage emotions. It helps you master yourself, day by day, entry by entry, decision by decision. And in that mastery, you'll discover the greatest personal power of all. The ability to govern your own mind. True power begins within. Now you've seen the truth. Emotional intelligence is far more than a soft skill for polite conversations or corporate success. It's the very foundation of personal power. Because the person who can master their emotions can master their entire life. Throughout this video you've learned How emotional intelligence is misunderstood by most. Why it's directly linked to your ability to control yourself, and thus control your destiny. And 5 powerful Stoic strategies to cultivate unshakable emotional mastery. Strategic pausing, the art of deliberate delay before responding. Cognitive reframing, the skill of rewriting emotional narratives. Voluntary discomfort training, building resilience by facing discomfort intentionally. Emotional minimalism, simplifying your emotional world for clarity and calm. Reflective journaling, the daily discipline of self-examination and intentional growth. But here's the most important truth of all. No one can give you personal power. No course, no book, no mentor can hand it to you. You must earn it, through daily practice, disciplined self-reflection, and relentless commitment to inner growth. And once you taste it, once you realize you can remain calm in the face of chaos, patient in adversity, and steady in temptation, you'll never settle for anything less. You'll stop chasing external validation. Because you'll know. The greatest victory is victory over yourself. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Conquer yourself, and you conquer the world." Here's my invitation to you. Choose one strategy from this video, and start practicing it today. Not tomorrow. Not someday. Today. Even one small action, done consistently, can change the entire trajectory of your life. And if you found value here, join our community. Here at True Stoic Mindset, we explore timeless Stoic wisdom and practical tools to help you grow stronger, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, every single day. Follow to grow stronger every single day. And if this message resonated with you, like this video. Share it with someone seeking inner strength. Leave a comment below. What's the biggest emotional challenge you're working to master right now? Because this isn't just about watching a video. It's about beginning your journey toward clarity, calm, and true personal power.